Right now, on to the point. The top candidates running for California governor facing off in a high-stakes televised debate. Experts weigh in on what to expect. Tonight, questions raised about California's top two primary system, forcing a scramble in the governor's race.
Competence and experience was not going to help us win this.
As tens of thousands of state workers head to the bargaining table, a discrepancy in the state budget is raising some serious questions.
And utility bills are on the rise. Tonight, the simple changes you can make to cut costs at home.
Well, tonight voters have the opportunity to hear from the leading candidates for California governor. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Alex Bell. 6 candidates will square off in a televised debate in a crowded race with no clear leader. The debate will bring together the two leading Republicans, Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco. For Democrats, Katie Porter, Tom Steyer, Javier Becerra, and Matt Mahan. Becerra and Mahan were late additions to the debate lineup after Swalwell exited the race, and new poll numbers showed both candidates, especially Becerra, gaining traction. ABC 10 political reporter Jenny Hudd joins us with a live preview of what we can expect tonight.
Well, Alex, to say a lot has happened in this race in recent weeks, especially for Democrats, is an understatement. The exit of former Congressman Eric Swalwell following sexual assault allegations, which he has denied, as well as the exit of Betty Yee, who said she saw no path forward for her campaign. Again, a lot of these fluctuations is what allowed for Becerra and Mahan to qualify for tonight's debate. So the big message for the night, it's still anyone's race and an opportunity for candidates to introduce themselves. Political experts tell me for some Democrats, it'll be a reset and reintroduction. Like Katie Porter, the only woman on stage who received backlash for her controversial treatment of a reporter and a staffer. And Tom Steyer, recently in the hot seat for his past investments in private prisons and oil companies. As well as Javier Becerra, who unknowingly had funds stolen by close allies from a dormant campaign account of his.
I don't know if anyone's going to land a knockout blow because there's so many candidates on stage, but it is an opportunity for someone to trip and then all of a sudden they're on defense again.
Debates are really about mistakes. So who can make the least mistakes or not make any mistakes?
I think we'll see more of like who Becerra really is, and Mahan for that matter.
I think still it's a coin flip between Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco. I mean, Steve Hilton has been polling higher. But Chad Bianco is right there.
So a summary of what to look for on the debate stage, how candidates interact with each other, and how the Republicans, especially with Hilton having the endorsement of President Donald Trump, differentiate from one another. For voters, if any of these candidates have caught your eyes, now is the chance to see them in action. And we'll have a recap of the full debate later tonight right here on ABC 10. Alex.
All right, Jenny, thank you so much. And we have been waiting to see who Governor Gavin Newsom will endorse in the race for California's next governor. Newsom was asked during an event today in Madera County. He said that he does plan on supporting a Democrat, obviously, in the runoff election, but failed short of actually naming a candidate. Take a listen.
I had an opportunity to work with every single person that is running for that office, and I've had the privilege of working and partnering with them in many different capacities over many, many years, and I respect their willingness to put themselves out.
Now, polls have showed a potential Republican versus Republican matchup, but Newsom says that he is confident a Democrat will make it to the runoff. But somebody who is not going to be in the runoff is former state controller Betty Yee. She announced her exit from the governor's race this week, not blaming her campaign, but pointing to what she calls a process that favors polling over experience. Reporter Monica Madden explains for us tonight.
In her exit from the California race for governor, former state controller Betty Yee is blaming the failures of the system, not her ground game.
Competence and experience was not going to help us win this.
It follows recent seismic shifts in what's been a slow race. Polls were showing the two Republicans winning the most support, leading to party pressure on the lower polling Democrats to drop out. And then the top polling Democrat ended his campaign amid scandal, all forcing a scramble of Democratic political players to coalesce around a winning candidate.
How much do you think that has impacted where we are today?
When you have polls that are solely for the purpose of narrowing the field and you're in single digits, and every subsequent poll shows that you're in single digits, that has an effect on donors about your viability.
The top two jungle primary, in her words, created an environment where donors rewarded polling instead of qualifications. Do you think that's a fair criticism?
There's a lot of things wrong with the political system that doesn't reward someone like Betty Yee, but I don't know that the top two primary had much to do with her fate in this election.
California's top two primary system is relatively new and rare.
The top two primary system was created in order to try to strengthen the political center in state politics.
But in this crowded primary, politicos say there will always be efforts to consolidate support, with Democrat Javier Becerra getting a boost in the aftermath.
Most people who looked at this race when Swalwell exited, they expected Steyer and Katie Porter, who in recent polling had shown to kind of be the second choice of most of the Swalwell voters. They expected those candidates to really kind of pop up their numbers. Although their numbers have stayed pretty stable. And this Becerra surge is something that I don't think anybody really had on their radar.
And if you do want to hear from all of the leading candidates for governor, you can stream their interviews right now on the ABC 10 app. Just look for California governor's race on the home screen. Well, good news. California's projected budget shortfall for the coming fiscal year is now a third of what it was believed to be earlier this year. We are told it is due to a miscalculation. As ABC 10's Becca Homberger shows us, some state workers hope this plays in their favor.
Hey, Alex, if there's going to be an error in a budget estimate, it's probably better when the recalculation leaves you with more money unexpectedly than less. But state workers heading into negotiations say they hope a rosier financial outlook results in better outcomes for their contracts.
Are you with me?
Wednesday marked the first day of bargaining for SEIU Local 1000, which represents nearly 100,000 California state workers.
And we're looking for a fair contract and ongoing telework.
Governor Newsom has ordered state workers back to the office 4 days a week after the pandemic led to a robust work-from-home structure. The directive was delayed as state workers pushed back, and the issue is now part of these negotiations.
We're here to fight for what we deserve. Better pay, better benefits, and a common-sense telework approach.
Telework is top of mind for these workers, but so is a discrepancy in the state budget. Every year, per the state constitution, California's governor must present a balanced budget proposal by January 10th. This January, in his balanced $349 billion budget proposal, Governor Newsom accounted for what he called a modest projected deficit of $2.9 billion that is solved. Then negotiations happen. Groups lobby for more money, other cuts are proposed, and the governor is required to propose a revised budget in May. State lawmakers must pass a budget by June 15th. Now, part of that process includes the Independent and Nonpartisan Legislative Analyst's Office, LAO, which analyzes the governor's proposed budget and checks calculations. Well, earlier this year, the LAO says it discovered the proposed budget contained what it calls technical errors related to the administration's initial CalPERS calculation. That resulted in a $2 billion overcount of what the state needed to pay into its pension fund. In other words, that projected $2.9 billion deficit should have been less than $1 billion.
There's money to pay us. We need them to make us a priority. Is that extra money? Yeah, it feels a little bit good, but at the same time, even when we've seen the budget deficit not be so great, state employees' salaries are still somehow always on the table, and that is not okay.
In a statement to ABC 10, Cal HR said it respects the confidentiality of the bargaining process and does not speak on ongoing negotiations. Cal HR continues to bargain in good faith with SEIU. So is a $2 billion miscalculation in a budget estimate common? Legislative analyst Gabe Pettick wasn't available for an interview Wednesday, but told ABC 10 in an email, given the complexity of the state budget, it is not uncommon for this process to identify issues that require adjustment or recalculation between January and May. For its part, the California Department of Finance wrote in a statement to ABC 10, there is no error. Since 2016, Finance has used the same methodology to reconcile these payments. Money is set aside in the budget each year and is not distributed to departments or CalPERS. We always true up this amount after the fact. Because the true up has now grown to a significant amount, we have decided to adjust this long-standing methodology going forward. Now, everything we've been talking about here has been for the coming fiscal year, which starts July 1st. The current fiscal year, though, is also in a better financial position. According to the State Department of Finance, California has $8.6 billion more so far this fiscal year than anticipated. And the department credits an increase in personal income and corporation tax receipts. Alex.
All right, Becca, thank you so much. Still ahead, on To the Point, a controversial bill targeting California's elderly parole program fails at the state capitol, what it means going forward, and an emotional courtroom debate in the Esparto fireworks explosion case over how victims are honored.
Well, we've had a lot of rain and some snow over the last 48 hours, but things finally drying out and a pretty nice end to the work week. I've got a full look at the forecast after the break.
But first, another headlines tonight. The Strait of Hormuz could be closed for 6 months. That's according to the Pentagon. This comes after Iran fired on 3 ships in the Strait overnight and seized 2 of them. The U.S. also seized an Iranian ship last week. The closure of the Strait has already sent gas prices skyrocketing worldwide and raised the cost of food and other products. Navy Secretary John Phelan is stepping down from his position effective immediately. The Pentagon made the announcement today as the U.S. Navy continues to impose a blockade of Iranian ports during the ceasefire. It's unclear what led up to Phelan's departure. 3 sources say that Phelan was reportedly given the option to either resign or be fired. And wildfires burning across the southeastern U.S. intensified today after destroying nearly 50 homes in Georgia and forcing evacuations and school closures. The state is facing one of the worst fire seasons in decades. It's not clear yet how the fires started, but they were fueled by a long drought, low humidity, and strong winds.
Welcome back in. Let's get over to your weather, Brendan. Oh my gosh, the rain yesterday, relaxing, calm, beautiful. Of course, we needed it, but now, unfortunately, it is clearing out. Things are getting a little bit better. I didn't see much rain this afternoon, really.
Yeah, there's not really anything out there this afternoon. Some light showers, mainly in the foothills, still holding on to a few snow showers. But at this point, most of this activity south of Tahoe, we really don't see anything in the valley. A few showers up near Clear Lake and Ukiah. That's about it. 2 inches of rain, though, in Sacramento this week. That's pretty good. That has pushed April now to be the wettest month of the water year, beating out November, an unusual month in itself to be the wettest. 66 in Sacramento. That's what we saw today. 67 in Stockton, 67 in Modesto, 67 in Fairfield, 58 in Jackson, 39 in Tahoe, and 43 in Truckee. Temperatures warmer than 24 hours ago, but certainly much cooler than normal. 16 degrees cooler than normal in Tahoe and 10 degrees cooler than normal in the valley this afternoon. Still in the low to mid 60s across the valley. Again, warmer than 24 hours ago, but cooler than where we are normally for late April. 66 degrees as we look towards the Tower Bridge, plus 10 from this time yesterday. Winds out of the northwest at 12 miles per hour. Clearing skies as we go through the rest of this evening and into the overnight. And because of the cool and quiet weather, well, we're going to drop into the 40s. 45 in Sacramento, 44 in Stockton, 48 in Modesto to start Thursday morning. Teens and 20s in the high country near Tahoe. Thursday afternoon, back to seasonal. That normal high 74. I've got 73 Sacramento, 75 in Elk Grove, 74 in Stockton, 73 in Modesto, 75 Vacaville and Fairfield, and 50s in the high country. Pretty nice day, exactly what you'd expect for late April. As we look at Futurecast, nothing tomorrow, mainly sunny skies. Some clouds do build on Friday, and by Friday afternoon could see another round of some light showers up in the high country. Valley stays dry. High pressure does not build back in, though, so that's going to leave the storm door open. It's just a matter of if any storms are going to show up. We'll have one passing through Northern California over the weekend, but again, high pressure does not fully close that storm door even as we go into the early days of May. So while I don't have any rain icons over the next 10 days, that storm door is going to be cracked open again. If a storm system tries to set up, maybe we could see some showers. The Sierra will this weekend. Otherwise, very seasonal temperatures to finish off April. Alex.
All right, Brendan, thank you. Right after the break on this Earth Day, going green could also mean keeping more green in your wallet. Coming up, we'll share some simple changes that you can make that can lower your utility bills. Welcome back in. A bill to reform California's elderly parole program died in the Senate Public Safety Committee. The bill aimed to exclude people convicted of rape and other serious sex offenses from elderly parole. Elderly parole allows people at least 50 years old who have served 20 consecutive years in prison an opportunity to go in front of a parole board for a chance of an early release. The program received pushback from law enforcement and state officials after multiple Northern California men convicted for sex crimes against children were granted parole earlier in the year. Lawmakers on both sides say they are not done fighting over this issue. Meanwhile, a convicted child rapist will not be released on parole under California's elderly parole program. The Board of Parole Hearings reversed its decision on early release of Israel Seha, who is serving 139 years for raping an 11-year-old. The reversal comes after the panel's decision drew harsh criticism from both the district attorney's office and by Seha's victim, Roxanne Cruz. An update now on the Esparto fireworks explosion case. Some of the people accused in the case were in court today, and the issue discussed was about families and victims and whether they can be allowed to wear or carry photos of their loved ones, as they did during last week's hearing. Prosecutors asked a judge to uphold a rule banning commemorative or visual displays in the courtroom, arguing the images could sway a jury and impact the defendant's right to a fair trial. The judge ultimately ruled the displays will not be allowed. And today is Earth Day, as I'm sure that you've heard, and it's all about shining a light on how to better take care of our planet. And making energy efficient choices at home is not only good for the environment, but it can also save you a little bit of money. Reporter Jen Sullivan has tips on easy, energy efficient ways to lower your utility bills.
Utility bills have skyrocketed in recent years. Real estate company Ruby Home estimates American households are paying an average of $610 a month on utilities. Winter electric costs have jumped 35% in the last 5 years, according to the National Energy Assistance Directors Association. So what's causing prices to increase?
Our electricity system in this country is old. There's a lot more demand on that old system.
Kate Colarulli with Clean Choice Energy says extreme weather patterns are also a factor in rising utility prices. Weather experts are predicting record heat this summer, which means cranking up your AC and putting more pressure on your wallet.
When the demand for air conditioning spikes, prices follow.
Colarulli says small changes can have a big impact on your bills this summer. She suggests raising your thermostat by a few degrees at night. Keep blinds and shades down during the day to block out sunlight. Run your dishwasher and washing machine early in the morning, and keep your water heater at 120 degrees. More expensive changes include upgrading appliances to energy-efficient models or switching to a clean source of energy, like installing solar panels. But it's a big upfront cost.
Over the long haul, as we look ahead 5, 10, 15 years, that is a source of fuel that is absolutely free. And that's really setting our country up for cheaper electricity over time.
Colarulli suggests shopping around for the best deals. Some companies will allow you to lease solar panels. Federal government and even many states and cities offer tax credits and incentives for clean energy upgrades to your home.
California is opening the door to more green space. New state parks are coming to the Central Valley in the largest expansion in decades. All right, some good news for outdoor enthusiasts on this Earth Day. Today, Governor Newsom announced an expansion of the state park system. 3 new parks will be established near underserved communities in the Central Valley, bringing the number of state parks to 283. This is the biggest expansion of the state park system in decades. And just a heads up, To the Point will not be airing tomorrow or Friday. That's because we have live coverage of the NFL draft, but we will see you right back here on Monday. But while we're off Thursday and Friday, I have a little bit of homework for you because, as you know, we've been covering the governor's race very closely. So I want to know, what questions do you have about the governor's race? Whether you were to ask a candidate directly a question, is there someone that's caught your eye, but maybe you haven't heard them talk about housing? Or do you have a question for our team about what to expect on the ballot? A little bit of homework, but we want to see your questions. You can always text us or email us at tothepoint@abc10.com. As always, thank you so much for watching, for always inviting us into your home. And if you have another question or a story idea, please feel free to also reach out to our team. Have a great night. I'll see you on Monday.